Emily. Is my audio coming through clear? Good. Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. It is good to be back, even if it is virtual right now. I'm looking forward to sharing some of the things that we've been seeing and doing with the CRM and Sales Hub. I'm taking that portion of this presentation as soon as it comes back up. In the meantime, I'll tell you a little bit about Nomad. We're actually celebrating our 20th year in business this year. Based here in Charlotte, we went virtual during the pandemic, but still most of the team member is based here in this area. Our focus is more on the top of the funnel work, search marketing, paid advertising, getting more traffic and eyeballs onto the website. So what I'm going to start with this morning, and I'll let these slides catch up, is a little update about the HubSpot CRM platform itself. If you've been around HubSpot a while, you know that the modern version of HubSpot is built around the CRM product. Emily, you can go forward one slide, please. So that contact relationship management system, it forms the database for the marketing hub, the sales hub, the service hub. It really is a central customer database that helps companies have a single source of truth. This product was released about 7 years ago and has seen significant improvements over that time. And impressively, HubSpot still gives this part of their tools away completely free. There's no charge for the CRM product in itself. Emily, if you go forward one slide, we'll get to the updates that have been happening around the CRM. So unless you've been under a rock, you probably are aware that HubSpot's now built out a payments solution. It's nice to have this integration. I think this is one of the real big benefits and selling points of the HubSpot ecosystem is to eliminate the friction in doing business with customers. So their payment system is built around a existing payment solution. I think that it is, the name's escaping me. One of my colleagues probably here knows though.
Stripe.
Thank you, Michael. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They enable recurring payments, single payments, currently only available in the US, but I did attend a webinar earlier this week, which has many additional features coming down the pipe for the payment solution. It's both ACH as well as credit card, and fees are reasonable. They're actually, through the end of this month, for the first $50,000, they're waiving the ACH collection fee. So you got some collections, take advantage. The quotes tool, this is an area that quotes has been around for a little while. It's probably been around for longer than a year, maybe even 2 years. And it's an area that I think more and more businesses are reaching out to utilize. You can they're enabling ways to do more customization with quotes. I'll touch on this a little bit more when we get into the sales hub portion. You can do collection of electronic signatures. You can also integrate it with the payment solution if you want to take payments at the same time as you collect the signature. So we're starting to use this at our agency when it's small sales. We don't need a full statement of work and master services agreement signed. It really streamlines the sales process. And then last around data security, this is a huge issue right now for businesses. Just making sure that everything is enabled, or security is put into place. One thing that I learned while one of our corporate clients was doing an audit across all their web properties is HubSpot enables you to do custom web headers, which allowed us to move from a B+ to an A in one of the security grades that we got. So that's that custom domain security settings component. But it's also been helpful when our clients are reviewing hosting for HubSpot to be able to have this. And all this information is available at HubSpot site. If you just search HubSpot security, you'll land on that page. All right, Emily, next. So Sales Hub. So if you're using Sales Hub, this is probably old news to you, but for those of you who may not be using this tool yet or using all the capabilities of this tool, it's really a suite of sales enablement tools for both individual sales reps as well as managers and their teams. Everything from being able to track emails to sending out a series of emails. Thank you. You can leave it right there, Emily. To schedule meetings, live chats, doing one-to-one videos, just things that make selling easier and reduce the work for both the reps as well as the reporting capabilities back to the management team. So in terms of updates that have happened, so over the last 12 months, these are some of what I think are the more critical updates that have come into play. So working as a team is really critical. If you have multiple sales professionals, you may need to be able to do things like deal splits or set up the ability to review previous calls that have happened with an account, see any type of interactions on the account. So those are some of the newer features. The meetings tool has been there for a long time. It has enabled both group meetings, round robin meetings. More recently, this is like in the last 3 or 4 months, they've added the ability to be able to cancel and reschedule meetings, as well as if you're using the integration with Gmail, I assume this works with Outlook as well. You can embed specific meeting times into your email, and you'll probably have seen that. I'm starting to actually use that a little bit more than just having them go to a link, because it's almost a one-click and the meeting is scheduled. It gives me a little bit more control over when they can schedule meetings with me too. The ability to do automated sequence enrollment has come online in the past year. That in the past, you had to manually enroll a lead or a contact into a sequence. Sequences are driven out of the Sales Hub, and it's a great way for when a salesperson gets to a dead end. One of the ones that my team uses a lot is they're not getting a response. Then we put them into a workflow to see if they are ever going to respond or let them go. With the automated sequence enrollment, you can do things like putting close loss campaigns on autopilot. So rather than at the beginning or end of the year, like we're doing one right now at Nomad, looking back over our accounts over the last few years to do outreach, you could just base it on, hey, if a deal closed lost, and it's been 6 months, put them into this campaign and see if there's a chance to start up a conversation with them again. And then with some of the advanced advanced functionality coming online is the custom objects. This is an interesting area, and it's one of the ways that HubSpot and their operations hub is starting to look really interesting. If you need to model something beyond their core components of contacts and deals and companies and tickets, this custom objects will allow you to do that. And that's an area that we're starting to look into for being able to have a single source of truth. You need to be able to model your business within that system. Let's go forward to some of the beta features. Great. So Microsoft is finally getting first-class treatment in HubSpot. So the Exchange, if you are using Exchange, that inbox connection is available. I'm told, I haven't tested this myself, but I know this has been a pain point for some of our clients. The other, if you have ever used HubSpot's Zoom integration, it's a great feature. It allows you to schedule meetings, and it automatically sets up a Zoom meeting in connection with that event. Teams now is getting that same treatment. Something that's been in beta for a while is this flexible association. It's kind of come and gone. I think they took one course and then redirected it another way. They've got 3 milestones they're working on, M1, M1.5, and M2. This is having the ability to associate multiple objects together. So you can do multiple companies to a single contact, multiple companies to deals or tickets. You can also label these associations and create custom labeling. If you've used this in the last 18, 24 months, it was a very fixed set of labels that you could define. This is getting more flexible now. So I'm happy to see this one come online, as well as rich text on CRM properties. So when you created custom CRM properties in the past, you had the option of a one-liner, radio checkboxes. This is going to give you a more rich text field. And then lastly, around customizable quotes. The standard quotes can work fine for a lot of businesses. But if you really want something that is matches more of brand standards or looks a little bit more professional than a quote that comes out of QuickBooks, this is what you'll want to look at. You have 2 options with customizable quotes. You can either customize their standard quote template, or you can build it from scratch if you have a developer and designer who's comfortable with the CMS design tools. I think that wraps up my updates for now, and I'll hand it off to Caitlin and Marta.
Thanks, William. That was great. So my name is Marta O'Donnell. I am relatively new to the Charlotte area, and this is actually my Charlotte Hug meeting. So super excited to be here. And I actually work with Caitlin. Some of you might know her. She's a huge influence in the marketing and entrepreneur community in Charlotte here. So I work with Caitlin at Clarion Creative Agency. We're an inbound marketing agency, HubSpot partner. And so I'm going to start off with just talking. I'll give a quick overview of the Marketing Hub, and then I'm going to go through some updates around marketing contacts, and then I will pass it over to Caitlin. So for those of you who are new to HubSpot or just or not using HubSpot at all, just to give a kind of quick overview of the Marketing Hub, this was it's really like the all-in-one marketing automation platform that's kind of like the core of HubSpot. There is a lower cost starter version, Marketing Hub Starter, and then like the other hubs, there's also a pro and a more high-level enterprise version. It basically encompasses all of the basic marketing tools that you would need to attract people to your site, whether it's through a blog or social media. There's also, you can integrate other third-party advertising tools right within HubSpot. It also includes email marketing, landing pages, forms, everything you would need to convert contacts into leads. And then there's, over the last couple of years, they've really built out their reporting capabilities as well. So there's a really robust reporting functionality. You can do custom reporting now. There's also a huge library of built-in reports that you can use. So I wanted to talk about, this is not necessarily a brand new update in Marketing Hub, but this actually rolled out back in the end of 2020. But in our experience, just working with a lot of our clients, a lot of them, it kind of seemed to go under the radar a little bit. So there wasn't really a huge splash announcement about it, but it's basically a change in the way that HubSpot is pretty big change in their billing as far as your Marketing Hub subscription goes. Normally you pay by the amount of contacts that you have in your database. But this has kind of been a long time challenge or problem with HubSpot users, where you might have a bunch of contacts in your CRM that you're not actually actively marketing to. So for whatever reason, maybe they are not really qualified marketing leads yet. They're more just cold leads that your sales team might be working, or you might have a bunch of just unengaged contacts or people who have bounced, but you don't really want to delete them for whatever reason. So with marketing contacts, you actually are able to label those contacts as non-marketing, which means that you don't have to pay for them, which is pretty huge. It can end up saving you a lot of money on your Marketing Hub subscription. But I have like a couple details. I know there's a lot of words in this slide, but basically, you're able to store almost an unlimited amount of non-marketing contacts in your database. The limit is 15 million, which is a pretty huge number. So the question kind of is, if you aren't already familiar with marketing contacts, or how your current subscription is set up, you might be wondering if it's worth it for you to switch to marketing contacts. And I would say it might make sense if you are storing a bunch of those like non-marketing contacts or people that you're just not actively emailing, but you don't want to delete them. Then I would say, yes, there's definitely a good chance that it might save you some money. In some cases, like we do have some clients where they've already negotiated a pretty steep discount on their HubSpot subscription for Marketing Hub, or they're already locked into a 3-year contract. So maybe you revisit it at the end of that contract, because in that case, it might not end up really saving you any money. But in order to actually get access to this, you do have to talk to your customer success manager at HubSpot, or your HubSpot agency partner if you have one, and they can get you all set up and just help you like run some numbers, see if it actually makes sense. It's not something that will just like automatically switch over, at least at this point. Maybe in the future, HubSpot might say, we're sunsetting the previous way of billing for marketing contacts. But at this point, it is something that you have to like actively do. And it does take a little bit of setup. So yeah, thanks, Emily. This is just a screenshot of if you go into your HubSpot account, this is kind of how you can check what type of subscription you have. So this is just under, if you click on like your company name in the top right-hand corner of your HubSpot portal, and then click account and billing, and then it's just under the usage and limits tab. So this is a screenshot from a portal that is using marketing contacts, and you can see there's a button on the right to manage those contacts. And there's actually like a tool that you can walk through with HubSpot to help you calculate how many contacts are in your database that you might actually be able to switch over to non-marketing contacts. I think that's, just one other thing I wanted to clarify, just as far as like the definition of what's the difference between a marketing or a non-marketing contact. With marketing contacts, you can, send them emails, target them in ads, basically do any outreach to them. With non-marketing contacts, you're not able to send them marketing emails. So, but you are able to, it's like if your sales team was working with those types of contacts, they can still enroll them in sequences. They just can't get marketing emails. So that's kind of like the major difference between the two. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Caitlin.
Hello, I'm Caitlin, one of the inbound marketing specialists at Clearing Creative with Marta. And today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the Marketing Hub as it relates to the campaign tool. So I'm coming into this with the mindset of a particular use case. It's a B2B software as a service. They use the Enterprise Growth Suite. And over the past year, I've put a heavy emphasis on historical optimization projects and continuous improvements for websites. So a really large website, a lot of pages, a lot of blogs, a lot of needs for updates. And last year we went through a whole rebranding experience. So not only were we rebranding the website pages, but we were also needing to optimize them in the process. And so we started to use the campaigns tool to kind of help the gaps were and how to improve our topic clusters, our pillar pages. We had a big emphasis on CTA optimization and testing those CTAs and seeing how they would convert. So using the campaign tool for us in this situation has been really helpful for identifying what our overall inbound strategy is for the year and making sure that we're tracking things that matter. So some of the other HubSpot updates that have happened recently before I dive into this campaign collaboration piece, which is one of the new updates. There's also email reply tracking, some Salesforce integration components, a lot of updates and automation pieces and workflows and sequences. The reporting is like the custom reporting has been tremendous, and being able to kind of go above and beyond with those report capabilities. Also, when it comes to integrations, Facebook conversations, behavioral events, again, like not only just like workflow capabilities, but also templates and being able to analyze things. So HubSpot has done a really nice job of being able to level up some of those analyzation tools, even the SEO tools and the auditing within the capability of HubSpot has been tremendous for me as an inbound marketing specialist and strategist. And then as we've been optimizing the CTAs, we've had to put a lot forms from naming conventions to how it's being used on pages for user experience. So that's been really useful to be able to kind of tie things back into, again, this campaign piece. And then lead syncing and business units. So when it comes to campaign collaboration, some of the new features include tasks, comments, and the calendar. This is kind of the, I don't know, underrated tool of HubSpot that used to be like, okay, but as they've made updates and brought things back to the purpose of aligning different departments and eliminating silos and creating sort of this targeted effort to achieve a goal, which is what a campaign is. They really started diving deep into the capabilities of how the campaign tool functions, not only from a reporting standpoint, but from a process and systems standpoint. So if you'll just go to the next slide for me. So the campaign tool, I think is really cool because it used to just have primarily performance metrics, and it really didn't have a lot of details around actually incorporated in the campaign or the purpose of the campaign or the lead of the campaign. And so this allows stakeholders at all levels who are using HubSpot to be able to go in and look at some of the key initiatives that we are tracking. And so identifying what the business objective is kind of the key to deciding whether or not it's worthy of creating a unique campaign or bucketing it into a more generalized campaign or a segmented campaign like a topic cluster in this case. So I just kind of created this to show you guys kind of what the user interface looks like. But it's super simple. It's really easy to use. I love the color coding. Some of the things about campaigns and like how to know if you need to use a campaign are things that are, time bound, goal oriented, super specific. And again, tie back to those business goals and department goals. So the next kind of piece to this is what we've been doing as we've been going through these historical optimization projects, as we've been going back and not only editing the content, the CTAs, the buttons, the forms, the graphics, all of that kind of stuff, but we're also going in and looking at the settings and looking at the title tags, the meta descriptions, whether or not it warrants a page title to help improve the SEO with keyword capabilities. But we're looking at the campaigns and what campaigns they're associated with. And we're certainly going through a scrubbing process. So not only are we optimizing content on the client side or the client's customer side, but we're also doing a lot of historical optimization with what our playbooks look like, how we're managing different processes, how we are getting clear about the reporting that matters and how that aligns back to the business goals and what is needed for whom, when. And that's how we're really defining what those objectives and key results look like. All right, you can go. So with this campaigns tool, as they've rolled out all these features, HubSpot recently came out with some of these statistics about how people are actually leveraging and using the campaigns tool, getting 66% more contacts, added an average of 72% more contacts than who did not. saw an average of 68% more from submissions than who did not. The only thing that I really want to note here, especially if you're like a new HubSpot user, or maybe you're using the starter tool, is this is really only a function of Pro and Enterprise, or if you had a legacy basic starter package. Keep on going. You can go to the next slide. There you go. So some things that can be tracked, these are essentially in HubSpot's world called assets. So anything that is associated with a campaign. But a lot of the key elements are like blog posts, CTAs, landing pages, social posts, website pages. The social posts, you can only put the campaign in, and you can't actually I think you can go in and change it, but you'll lose all of your historical data. So you can only assign an asset to one campaign at a time. And if you choose to move the campaign, it will skew your data. So you'll only get the data of like views and things from the point that it's assigned to the campaign. So if you are going through and scrubbing, just know that like you could lose some data. So take screenshots or get kind of whatever information that you need for yourself. All right. Going. The other, go back. The other feature that they've had this before, but they've started to add. Sorry, you can hear my dog in the background. Some of the things that have been added to this dashboard are tasks and being able to kind of add more filters. You can keep going. Oscar, stop whining. All right, campaign elements. So these are all different things that you can do within a HubSpot and assign a campaign to it. So a commonly used campaign would be like for a pillar page or a pillar page campaign, but also like maybe you have some original research and you're publishing blogs that are linking back to that original research. You're doing social posts that are linking back to that original research. Maybe you have an infographic or a slide deck or a presentation or a webinar that is all kind of tying back. In that situation, you would be able to kind of use all of these functionalities to be able to track all of the moving components of the campaign. I think what's been hard for us is that we use Slack, we have a project management tool, and then we have these new capabilities that HubSpot is adding. So what we're trying to figure out is how to discern what to use where and when, and kind of the playbook behind that. And so that's really just sort of like trying and doing and testing, and then getting people's reactions and pivoting and kind of working through a campaign and like what went well, what didn't go well, what do we need to change the next time we do something similar to this. So I think the campaign tool just provides some visibility around what's working and what's not working, where the gaps are, and then just kind of helps make strategic decisions from an inbound level. All right. Another thing I wanted to kind of let everybody know is sometimes people are saying things like, well, what if I'm doing a joint event and my event is hosted on somebody else's website or on Eventbrite? Or maybe you have a podcast episode where you're talking about this original research, but you don't actually own the domain in which the content is being delivered. In this situation, you can use the tracking URL feature, which you can find in the settings of your HubSpot portal. And you can assign a campaign to that external URL. So I really think this is underrated and not as widely used. And so being able to leverage this, the offline external backlinks, I think that's also a really key feature to kind of see how successful maybe your link building strategy is, or any kind of other external PR media efforts. So if you're a PR agency, or if you're a marketing manager or a contractor, and you're kind of getting ideas and pitching ideas and getting guest links and stuff that relate back to a campaign that you're working, maybe around a certain market, like the luxury market, you could use this feature, you could use this tool to drive kind of home some of the performance of the overall initiative. All right, so one of the big questions we get asked is, how should your business, or how should our business growth team maximize the campaigns tool? Because you're dealing with a lot of different stakeholders. Who needs to see what? Where does it show up? Do you look in the individual asset report to get into the minutia? Do you use the campaign tool? Do you use the dashboards? Do you use something else like DataBox that integrates into HubSpot? There's sort of like, there's so many options. And kind of going back to that, like crafted, not cobbled, is you have to figure out what works best for your team and all row in the same direction, and really get clear on, you know, what are your business objectives? What are the metrics that you're really wanting to track and you really care about? And what does success look like at the end of the day? So sometimes we'll have, you know, one big, you know, hairy, audacious goal, like increasing our leads by 25% over the course of 6 months in this particular market. And then we're tracking a leads list and also mapping that back to the campaign performance report, because then we can start to attribute revenue to our marketing activities, which is one of the hardest things to do, I think, as a marketing person, is to be able to tie it back to the flywheel of, you know, sales, service, operations. How are we impacting the greater good of the organization? So I encourage you guys to check out that playbook. It's a great marketing resource. Can you go back and just give people a couple seconds to take a screenshot or write it down? Can you go back one slide? Oh, maybe. No. So the playbook on the FAQ page, if you just go to .com/campaign-playbook, it will really give you not only sort of these high-level definitions if you're just getting started in campaigns, but it'll give you some really good templates and resources and kind of standard operating procedures to kind of see where you can benchmark your growth team. All right, carry on. Okay, the CMS Hub. So switching gears off the marketing and campaign tool, switching into the CMS Hub. William, I know that you live deeply in this tool. Marta, you too, so feel free to chime in here. But the CMS Hub is one of the Marketing Hub was really the first tool that HubSpot launched with. And it was sort of this like beginning stages of being able to eliminate this sort of Frankenstein marketing model. And once they really got great at that, then they started to look at other ways that they could streamline the marketing interface and add more features. And so they started looking at e-commerce platforms. And the CMS Hub is really their version of an e-commerce platform. It is an e-commerce platform. And one of the things that even initially stood out to me with the CMS Hub is their early adoption and getting an SSL certificate and prioritizing security and data protection and GDPR and things like that are so hugely important to customer experience, and something that is like, you can't ignore it now, I think, with the social unrest that is going on and the security measures that are being, confronted. So HubSpot's CMS Hub really allows you to create a full web experience, integrate with lots of third-party tools, now has payments, event registration, local website development. The HubSpot database has tremendous capabilities, and even being able to create smart content, to be able to create sandboxes. So if you're a developer and you're working on the back end and you want to be able to see how things are published and working and triggering back and forth, but you don't necessarily want to put it forward facing on the website, that sandbox tool is so crucial for developers and design teams to be able to play and test and send wireframes and mockups and start to kind of just like bring things to life as if you were building a house kind of visually. So I think that's really cool.
Caitlin, if I could add into what you're saying, we do a lot of work in both WordPress and HubSpot. More and more of our clients are choosing HubSpot, and we ended up writing a blog post because we were having this conversation all the time, and I'll put that in chat here in a minute. One of the key features that we like is the HubDB for dynamic content. We do a lot of work with manufacturers and distributors. They don't necessarily need to sell online, but they do need to show what products they have to be able to take inquiries, and HubSpot is a really great tool for that. HubDB is a nice interface. It just simplifies managing a product catalog online. Now that is a different catalog than the back-end product catalog, and it's different from if you were going to just sell on a site like Shopify. So we're dealing with some complexities around that right now, but I think over time it'll be interesting to see if HubSpot moves into making their product catalog behind the scenes more forward-facing with CMS Hub.
So I think one of the biggest kind of shockers of all the updates with CMS is really the starter suite. The starter suite in general, the growth suite, all of the different hubs provided a much more affordable opportunity for small businesses to be able to get started without this huge financial lift. And the CMS Hub Starter was one of those. So these are like Launchpad websites, I think up to 15 pages, but it also includes like a blog and the CTAs and the forms and all of the functionality to connect right back into that sales CRM and the marketing starter and all those good things. So I think the HubSpot CMS starter is so far one of the better efforts I've seen to compare to like a WordPress or a Wix or something kind of like at that starter level. And even, in line with Squarespace and some of those starter features. So HubSpot is really doing its due diligence to broaden the market that it's reaching. Before it was a little bit of a kind of mid-sized sedan luxury kind of vehicle, but with a simpler user experience than maybe like a Magento or a BigCommerce or a Drupal even. And so adding this Hub Starter, improving the onboarding experiences for people who are getting their website going, and then also a lot of these SEO functions for auditing is allowing people to historically optimize their website at a much faster rate without feeling like they have to know everything in their head. There's like a lot of checks and balances that HubSpot has built in to help people make sure that they're optimizing their website effectively. All right, Michael,
All right, they bury the sales guy at the last and they give him the service hub. So we'll see how this works. But first of all, welcome guys. I'm excited to have the hub kind of back up and running. In I guess HubSpot years, we've been out of it for a while and it seems like eons, but it's a great forum for everybody to get together and share all things marketing and have, if you're in an organization where you're the only person with marketing your title, sometimes it can be an island, and this is a great forum to be able to talk shop and be able to exchange ideas, information, and especially around the HubSpot ecosystem. For those that have been around, William talked about being in business 20 years, and I'm not sure how long you've been a partner. We here at Stratagon have been in business since 2005, but a partner for the last 8 years. And if you don't have your head on a swivel, this moves at a lightning speed as far as what products move and shake. This is the kind of thing that I love to talk about, is just all the innovations. The eerie thing about it is on the Service Hub, it's probably the most overlooked and underutilized HubSpot product out there, but it adds the most advantage if you really look at the holistic part of what you're thinking about. I think it's been eerily quiet lately, which leads me to believe that something's coming, and that's totally how the MO that HubSpot does. It tends to get real quiet when things are changing or challenging. So stay tuned, and we'll see what kind of happens here. But just by show of in the comments, how many of you guys are using the Service Hub or even inquiring or thinking about using the Service Hub in your tech stack? I know lately, again, being the business development leader at Stratagon, we focus a lot on strategy and implementation, whether it's CRM, the marketing hub, or sales, just trying to really help increase the customer journey. But I think what you need to think about is having to complete that journey, the whole thing, not just thinking about once you kind of take them from a prospect to becoming a customer, but there's a life beyond that, a whole life beyond that. We talk about the the age-old thing with marketing, a bird in the hand's worth two in the bush, meaning if you've got somebody already familiar with your products and services, to keep them kind of satisfied and delighted and move them from, like I said, from a prospect to a customer to delight them, they're going to tell 5 or 6 people. That's going to be your best marketing engine out there, is to continue that. So how do you continue to complete that circle and make it? And this product is definitely one that can help that. The Service Hub, those of you that have used this, everything from ticketing and calling to conversation inboxes and chat boxes, those things are all kind of integrated. I remember when we first started, there was a lot of ERP systems that people use that were in manufacturing that I had these built into it, and they were tied to making sure that they can understand where in the process a person's complaint was. And sometimes it was a quagmire. You couldn't find it. It was a very not a very drag and drop environment. It was more of a coding environment. You really had to know what you're doing to get around it. The HubSpot ecosystem really makes it easy. If you're familiar with the other ones, it carries the same kind of usability over to Service Hub, but continues to build out on those. But again, the whole point of this Service Hub is to continue to build out the overall customer experience with your product or service, and really make sure that you can, it's two-sided. It's one for the customer, but also for you to learn information. In this day and age, I think the holistic part of marketing is about data. The one who finishes with the most data wins, and the most who can aggregate it and use it to make things more efficient and more effective really wins. And I think even so, from the customer service side point, people that have experience with your product or service, knowing how they're engaging with it, knowing what challenges they're having, knowing where they're having success with it, really can help you and help the marketing team narrow down their messaging and their content to really pinpoint what's important. Okay, can you go to the next slide, please? Did I miss a slide? Oh, the thing I'll tell you, did we miss one? Go back one, or is it? Okay, we took one out. All right. I can pivot. There we go. There you go. That's fine right there, Service Hub. So the product updates, again, this product was launched in 2018. And again, I think every week or so I look through, and there's 4 or 5 updates, and some days there'll be 20 updates. So it's changed it quite a bit. These things like conversation-based workflows, just knowing how to engage with a client once they have told you there's a challenge or issue with their product or service, and who to escalate that to, and who makes sure who touches that, so there's not time too far in between. Custom surveys are ways that you can kind of get it. We talked about data a minute ago, and getting that data to understand whether it's a satisfaction survey or a loyalty survey, a support survey. All that data can be incorporated into understanding how to make your service and product better. The mobile help desk. If you think about the last 36 months we've had, just being able to be remote and be anywhere. If you've got customer service representatives also double as account managers or as sales representatives, they're going to be out and about visiting clients and customers, and you want them to be able to log on and look at these challenges at any given time, not just waiting to get back to their laptop, but be able to do it on their mobile device. Those are all kind of key components of making the user experience better. And then things like custom inbox views, just making sure when people, when your customer service reps log in, they have a real good view and understanding of what their tasks are to do that day and where the priority lists run, and to be able to execute those on a given basis. Okay, next. These were a couple of things that were in the beta. One of the neatest things is you think about channel switching. For me, I'm responsible for our live chat that's out there, and things come to me. But the thing about it is sometimes things can't be handled in the chat. They get a little long-winded, or you want to start adding some other features and things, like maybe you want to add an image or a screenshot or a document to it. You can switch channels, meaning but take it from the live into an email, and take it to an email, and that customer does not miss a beat. They can be able to see all the information and see that you're following up. And a lot of times we've all done it, whether we're late night surfing, looking for things to buy, we get on the chat box, and we're like, there's nobody out there possibly watching this. And you think it's all just the AI part of it, but this is a way that you can actually give them that integrated, seamless switch to in that conversation. Conversation, things like conversation APIs, just being able to have information flow back and forth. That's always been the rub. A lot of times we'll go into organizations where they have an ERP system that has a quote unquote customer service portion of it. And then when you try to take that information out of it and go into marketing, and marketing use that, or sales use that, it doesn't really connect like it's supposed to. You really have to have either some custom APIs built or something that helps that kind of connect. This year is they're looking at more innovations and more integrations to make sure that data flows back and forth, which is great. One of the biggest things in this beta is the advanced search, filter and search. If you think about it, let's say your customer service rep logs in the morning and there's 75 inquiries in there that have over the last couple of days they're looking at kind of answering. If they can go in and do a search and maybe 10 of them are the same kind of problem, maybe they can go and do a batch kind of pull and then do an automated message that has the answer, has a solution in there and hit it out. And next thing you know, they've checked off 10 tasks right there and they're through. That goes into the CRM and the sales and lets the representative know, the sales rep, that this has been handled and it's okay to follow up and do whatever they need to do. But it's a way of being more efficient and more effective. But that advanced search feature is fantastic. Again, I mentioned before about data, service analytics. I think that goes in the same, a lot of marketers here, you live or die by the dashboard. That dashboard can be the same for a customer service manager to be able to see what their team is touching on a daily basis, to see what kind of activities and what kind of things they're doing. Just the more refined data, the more intricate data they can get, the better they can actually customize their service offerings and customize the way that they respond to these challenges even more. And then you've got the customer portal. The customer portal is huge. At any given time, a person can log on to it, send a challenge or a problem, and then go back and check and make sure at any given time where it is in the progress of being answered. It's no longer this kind of black hole where they throw the question out there and hope somebody's going to return it, in a day or two, if at all. This way they can know exactly in that portal who's touched it, where it is, the status wise, and any updates in there, and maybe even some more information. If the customer service rep wants to know more information from that customer, they can place it there so that person can go ask questions internally if they need to and get back to them. So it's all in one collective spot. But I think it's a fantastic entity to have, to be able to have a customer portal where it's bespoke to that individual to know exactly what they need and where their problem is in that process. Also, next is more to come. So again, like I said before, is this is a most underutilized. If you haven't looked into it, you should at least start looking or signing up for updates on it, because I think that if you really want to complete the cycle to how that customer to customer experience journey is, this will really help you. But again, it's been quiet for the last couple of weeks on this, so that's something tells me that something big is looming as far as customer service is related to, and HubSpot's generally good about making sure their products are cohesive with the others. And I think it will definitely be up to par with the marketing and the sales in no time. All right, I think that's it. The sales guy gets the last slot, but I think there's some more coming up as far as resources here. Thank you, guys.
All right. Yeah, thank you all. So we just have a couple other quick things for you. This slide has a couple of resources that might be helpful for you. You can, if you haven't already, subscribe to get the quarterly update emails from HubSpot. And then you can also always check out their product updates landing page, which is what's showing in the little screenshot here at your main drop-down menu. There's a link right there, just called product updates. Feel free to chat any of us, any questions that you have. I know this session was recorded and will be distributed afterwards. And then don't forget to join all the different social groups. There's a LinkedIn group, Facebook group. I definitely look forward to connecting with all of you guys at some point, hopefully in person soon. And then there are, on the next slide, we have the upcoming Charlotte Hug events. So we've got one for each of over the next 3 months planned. The next one will be April 7th, and that will be with Caitlin and I again. We'll do a little bit of a deeper dive into marketing and CMS Hub. So these will be a chance for you guys to bring any questions about that, like any specific features related to that hub that you maybe didn't get a chance to bring up today, and really will give us an opportunity to just do a little deeper dive into marketing, sales, and service hub. And then lastly, we do have a quick survey for any Charlotte Hug members. If you could do us a solid and just scan the QR code there. It'll bring you right up to the Google survey. It's just a couple of questions to ask about like your preferences on meeting times and topics. And also if anyone is interested in speaking on one of the upcoming meetings or has any ideas for future topics down the road, we would love to hear those. So please let us know. Right. And that is all we have for you today. So thank you so much, everyone. We really appreciate you joining and taking the time.
I think we might have time for a few questions if you'd like. We might have a question for each hub, but feel free to speak up on each other's hubs, and then one for the general audience. All right, so we'll start. Michael, we'll start with you. In your opinion, what is the Service Hub's biggest challenge today? You're on mute, Michael. There you go.
Right now, for me, it's some of the integration points to some of the legacy systems that are out there. We do, like William, we do quite a bit in manufacturing, and a lot of times the ERP systems rule the roost. And trying to pull those out of their ordering systems and their merchandising systems and inventory, pull those out of their hands with dead cold hands is hard to do. But I think they want and they like the features that come with this, but the APIs sometimes tend either if they're not bespoke, meaning they have to be started from scratch, they're a little bit clunky. But again, any system that starts, and again, the genesis of it, started in 2018. It's gone eons beyond where it could be. And you look at things like competitors like Zendesk. Zendesk has been around for a long time, and I think it's equal to or a little bit better than Zendesk. So I can only imagine it's going to get better.
Sure. Like you said, good things to hopefully come here in the future. If you're still with us, grab that link to Michael's session that will be actually in June. We put him towards the end again, but hopefully that'll give us some time for some more updates to come out for him to cover as well. William, we'll jump over to you. What advice can you give in terms of automation in the Sales Hub? And do you have an example of a best use case that is your go-to?
Oh, we use a lot of automation. I think some of my favorite automation on the Sales Hub is to move deals forward. One of the things that we're trying to do at the agency is collect more information earlier. So as soon as we have a meeting booked, I'm setting a deal up. As soon as we have any kind of communication, so you can track activity, you can drive workflows off of a salesperson's activity, emails, phone calls being logged, meetings being held. Once those are getting underway, we go in and we'll change statuses of the contact record. All contacts are coming in as a new lead. We'll move it forward to sales qualified just to say, hey, sales is engaged with this. It must have been qualified. Saves the sales team a step of having to remember to do that. Even as I'm saying this, I'm thinking there's some other things I need to put in place to automate. But as we work through deals as well, each of those deal stages, we do drive automation off of there to take the load off of the sales team so that we can focus on getting work done. One way that we've been using our Service Hub lately is around the onboarding process. So as it moves from sales into the services team, we were able to put something in place recently all sales has to do is close it out, and that fires off the activity for somebody on the services team to start picking up and working that. And it allows sales to get focused back on selling rather than trying to carry that new deal into the team.
Awesome. Yeah. Well said, of taking the load off of the team so that they can focus on really doing the work there. Good. We have a question here that I'm interested on your opinion of, Marta. We've heard conflicting opinions about marketing contacts. Are you pro marketing contact feature or a little bit on the fence about it?
Oh, good question. I would say I am pro marketing contacts. Although, like I had said before, I think there's definitely cases where it might not make sense for everyone. But overall, I'm definitely pro it. I think it solves a huge issue that we run into with a lot of our clients all the time of feeling like they're paying for all these contacts that they're not actually marketing to. And I think one thing that can maybe help if you're like kind of on the fence about it is just knowing that every month you're able to reset it, contact status. So if just because you did mark a contact as non-marketing when it first went into the database, it doesn't mean that it always has to stay as a non-marketing contact. So you just have to wait till the next billing cycle to update it.
Which for some of us that have been in the platform for a little while can take a little bit of getting used to, but
yeah,
all
for sure.
Hey, Emily, from a sales side, I can tell you it's really more advantageous now to be able to build a deal out of it, because again, people thought, like Marta said, if you had 100,000 contacts, people were like, I don't have my stuff together to be able to start campaigning for this stuff, but I don't want to lose these. What do I do with them? But it really is a different conversation now, where you can start saying, hey, we can put these on the sideline. They're in, but they're on the sideline. You're ready to do it. Now, the biggest thing about it is just having the discipline to be able to move them in and out. Because I have some that will say, oh no, my bill cycle's coming up, forgot to move them. I'm like, sorry. you got the reminders, you got tasks in there, you got all these things you can do. You got to be disciplined enough to move them. But I mean, I think it's a game changer as far as, because before it was just really hard to work a deal when you said, I've got 100,000 contacts, and it's like the number starts really ticking up. You're like, that makes it almost a no-brainer when you're trying to compare, when you're getting cross-shot with things like Marketo or the Marketing Cloud, where they're giving away contacts like it's, like it's air. So just something to think about.
Yep. Yeah, a couple of use cases that come to mind for our clients, at least. One particular client gathers contacts who have all gone through their training, eventually would be in some kind of nurture renewal type sequence, but might not be in, the day-to-day marketing, as well as alumni. So people who have been customers of theirs before, but, moved on to other opportunities. So a couple of use cases there. All right. Last question for everybody. Feel free to give your input. What is your wish list HubSpot item? Either within your respective hub or another hub, what is on you wake up every day and you're like, oh, I wish HubSpot was working on something like this. Realistically, we know they probably are, but what's on your list?
That's a good question. If it could manage my calendar for me, that would be awesome.
So a little bit.
And it does somewhat with the meetings tool. I use that a lot.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I know there are things, I'm just like not remembering them off the top of my head. I just don't wake up thinking about that, I guess.
You have everything you need. Yeah. Well, maybe something to think about.
My thing is, it does a lot within, I work in the world of tasks. Tasks are what I kind of drive my day by. I wish there was an AI that could actually take some of my tasks and do them for me. That'd be perfect. But other than that, I just think kind of maybe a deeper integration of kind of categorizing and kind of surfacing things. I mean, it does a good job, but like I said before, it's input equals output. I'm the one that drives it, so I need to put those things in and categorize them right. So I just do a better job of that. But no, some of the things that we're like any given time, we're probably using only 30% of the capabilities. I would really love to take the time to just dive in and maybe even get another 10% more. I think that'd be monumental in our day to day.
Yeah. Well, awesome, guys. We're at the top of the hour here. I'll leave you with one last comment. John in the chat said, I wish I had HubSpot for other aspects of my life. That's an awesome one, John. Thanks for that. All right, guys, we'll wrap up here. As Marta said, the recording will be available on the event page within the next 24 hours for you if you'd like to share it with any of your coworkers or clients or teams outside of this immediate group. But like we said, join us for these next couple of events, engage on our social profiles, really use this group as your go-to HubSpot knowledge base. So thanks so much, guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, everybody.
Bye.
See you soon.